Welcome back to the Breaker Broz, and tonight we're going to preview the Bengals versus Packers game. But I guess before we start off with anything, Joe Flacco, huh?
Yeah. Hey, that's surprising in two ways. One, surprised that the Browns would make a trade with the Bengals, right?
Right.
And then two, surprised that the Bengals made any trade. It's actually weird for them to show a sense of urgency. So, I mean, even if it doesn't work out, I mean, good on the Bengals for trying.
Yeah, and I was thinking, out of all the quarterbacks that they probably could have traded for that was realistic, I think Joe Flacco probably is the best option. I didn't think of him because, like you said, it's the Browns, and you don't normally think of like or divisional trades. That typically doesn't happen. But it sounds like they didn't even consider Wilson or Winston in terms of trade. I think the other two, I know Drew Lock was one, and then I forget the other guy, but I think Drew Lock would have made somewhat sense. But I think Flacco, out of all the options, and I didn't even think of him again because of the Browns. Yeah. But I think if we were going to pick a quarterback, a veteran off of any team to kind of fill in and hit the ground running, I think Flacco was probably the best option.
Yeah, I mean, of the names you mentioned, I think Jameis Winston's probably the most intriguing to me. But yeah, I mean, not a bad option.
Yeah, I think maybe Winston
with the Flacco train
might be the most fun one. Winston, just because of his personality.
Yeah, it would be the wildest ride, because I feel like so many back when Jameis Winston was playing for the Buccaneers, it felt like every single game he started, there would be some wild ending at the end of the game where it was like the fourth quarter and he'd have them driving to either, catch up and tie or win, and it'd either end with like a touchdown or like a pick, but like there was always something going on. Whereas, going through the Browning stuff, it just felt like nothing was happening on offense.
Well, he just couldn't get over the mental block. It seemed like he was so much in his head, and all the turnovers didn't help, and the lack of offensive production, and I think that was some of the things that we were kind of echoing the last couple of weeks. It's like we don't need a quarterback to necessarily make plays like Joe Burrow can. We just need the quarterback to get the ball where it needs to go. Like, if you have a turnover, maybe one here and there every other game, whatever, it's maybe not that big of a deal, but to have like 2 or 3 every game, like it's too much.
I don't know. Like, I think the emphasis on turnovers is maybe misplaced or maybe overemphasized. I mean, to me, it's just like you need to be able to make plays. You need to be able to be dangerous. And if you're not a risk to score on the other defense, then it doesn't matter what you do.
Well, the turnovers were bad last week because he just literally threw it to the other team. Like, it didn't seem like on those turnovers, any Bengals player really had a shot. But overall, it was
they also looked like they couldn't score, Well,
the
turnovers are less important than like not being able to move the ball.
Well, the turnovers are just unacceptable. It's like, again, we just need the quarterback to just get the ball to where it needs to go. Like, just making the right read, kind of going back to that, because, even before last week or even during last week, there were opportunities. There were people open. Like, I can think of 2 or 3 touchdowns that maybe Chase could have had if he just thrown the ball to Chase. and I think that's kind of what Flacco is going to bring. It's like we kind of need the quarterback.
Yeah,
Chase quarterback
that is questionable. Do you know if he's going to play?
I think they are expecting him to play, but I guess he came down with an illness or something like that. So, but I think the expectations is for him to play. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure what he has exactly, but I think it popped up either during Thursday or Friday. But the last I heard, I think they are expecting him to play.
Okay. That's important.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was just kind of funny, just when we finally knew it was going to be Flacco that they're trading for, and there was some speculation that they were looking for a quarterback, and um, this is not something that the Bengals do really ever, any player really. I mean, last year we traded for the running back Khalil, I think, or whatever his name was. I can't remember the running back from the Bears, but before that, I think it was like back
Herbert.
in,
Khalil Herbert, right?
yeah. But before that, I think it was like 20 years when we traded for someone in season. So this doesn't really happen that often. But I think, as most people believe, especially the ones that follow the Bengals closely, like they have enough talent on the team to be a playoff team, especially in the AFC this year, because the AFC looks kind of weak so far overall. And especially in the division doesn't look that strong this year. So I'm glad they made the trade for Flacco, and then when I knew it was Flacco, it made even more sense because I think a lot of people got excited, especially Bengals fans, because I don't know, like I don't want to get like overly excited because I don't think he's going to be that much of an improvement over Browning. Like I'm not expecting him to come in and play at like a all-pro level or been a Pro Bowler or whatever. But I guess he just needs to play like how Browning played the first time he came in to fill in for Burrow a couple of years ago, and I think that's what he could do. I think that we're going to still have those plays where, especially when the offensive line doesn't really protect that well, because he's not going to be able to run away from the pressure. So I think there are going to have some easy sacks, but if we just go back to the last game, Browning had some good pockets, and on a few of his interceptions, he had pretty good amount of time. He just threw it to the other team. And I feel like if you put someone in like Flacco, who seems to be able to process, or still able to process, what's going on in the field pretty good, I think it's going to definitely give the Bengals a boost on offense if he could just play how he's been playing, I guess, the last couple of seasons. I do know the concern with Flacco too is like, because I was looking at his stats, he's been turning over the ball a little bit, but
yeah, I mean, he threw a couple picks when the Bengals played him.
Yeah, but I think the main difference was a lot of his picks were pretty much like off deflections, and they weren't really like clean picks. But I definitely think it's going to be a little bit easier for him to operate with the Bengals offense versus the Browns, because maybe the Browns have a little bit better of an offensive line. I wouldn't say it's that much better than the Bengals, but the offensive weapons are going to be so much better for the Bengals than what he had in Cleveland, especially for the receivers.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, hopefully Jamar plays, but yeah, no, I we'll see. I mean, I don't know how it's going to look. I mean, you would think that Flacco would be able to get the ball out quicker than Browning. I mean, he has
I think so.
bigger arm, definitely more experienced quarterback. So
I think he's just actually
going
going to process things to where
What?
Browning really wasn't processing anything. It didn't seem like he's going to be able to process and see the field a little bit more, and probably get
maybe he'll be able to check him out of bad plays as well.
Yeah, and I think another little benefit of bringing in Flacco is that he's already played the Packers, so I think he's got a little bit of that, I guess, experience going against them this year, and he had to already prepare for them with the Browns. But obviously it's going to be a different offense. But he did play him a few weeks ago, so I feel like that should help out a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, my expectations is I feel like this game, there's going to be aspects where it's still going to feel a little bit ugly, but I feel like it's going to be a step up from what we've seen the last 3 or 4 weeks, or I guess what we've seen so far. Because some of the plays were there. It was just we weren't getting the ball where it needed to go, and and then obviously, when you do have those turnovers, especially the ones that are for like pick sixes or whatever is going
Yeah.
on, it doesn't help out that much either. But yeah, no, I was starting to look into as far as like the Packers. I mean, obviously they have a pretty solid defense, but
Mhm.
take it with a grain of salt. I was asking Chat GPT questions, so I don't know how accurate it's going to be, but
Oh yeah.
based off what
What
it said,
Chat
I guess you could
GPT said.
verify it. PFF, but the Packers defense seems to give up a pretty decent passer rating. Like, it seems like they give up a lot of completions.
Mhm.
So I think that might bode well for the Bengals if they can kind of pick them apart. It's just a matter of being able to hold up a little bit and maybe continuing a little bit with the run game that they were doing last week. I'm curious if they're going to stick with P Ryan, you know, because it seemed like once we got down multiple scores last week, P Ryan was in a little bit more. I
Mhm.
didn't see as much as from Chase Brown. So I'm wondering how they're going to divide up the touches that way.
Yeah, I still would like to see, until things solidify on offense, maybe closer to 50-50 in terms of split. Maybe even more P Ryan just because he's a better blocker. Um, just until the offense gets up and running again. I think I like Chase Brown better for. I just feel like he can break bigger plays, but
Well, it makes a big difference when your offense can actually score.
yeah,
Just
you need to
we
score some
definitely
points.
we definitely noticed that last week when the Bengals actually scored in the fourth quarter and or they started to score touchdowns in the fourth quarter. And I know a lot of people, are calling that garbage time, but I mean there was a point where they got it down to 11 points, and I think there was still 10 minutes left
Hmm.
within the fourth quarter, and they had an opportunity. I think they stopped the Lions, but then they got the ball back, and I think they either had like a 3-and-out. Like they had an opportunity to even bring it down a little bit more than 11 points, but then I think they went 3-and-out again, and then when the Lions got the ball back, they scored. Then we scored again, and then we tried to do the onside, but it seemed like we started scoring too late. But then once we
For
scored,
sure, they started scoring way too late.
huh?
I said for sure the Bengals scored way too late.
Yeah, way too late. But you could just tell the defense was a little bit more on their heels after they scored, especially when they had a few quick touchdowns. And
Yeah.
that's something that the offense can do is that when they score, that tends to be quick. But the
Mhm.
benefit with that, it just makes the defense a little bit more on edge because they don't want to continue to give up those big plays.
Yeah, that's the key to the Bengals offense. Is they have flaws, but they're so dangerous that teams are, you know, were being very passive against the Bengals offense when it was really good. And now this year it's just like, well, if they can't hurt you, then you just start attacking, taking risks because you didn't think Browning could hurt you. And that's why they were just in shambles.
Yeah, no, the offense didn't really look functional until the fourth quarter, and then once they got going, it felt like a little bit of a different game, but obviously it was too
Yeah.
late. So hopefully they can start a little bit earlier or sooner this week. I think that's the main thing is just starting off the game well. It seems like the defense consistently gives, especially at the start of the game, whenever the opposing team has the ball, it seems like they tend to give up points on their first defensive series. And I think if they could start stronger and don't give up those points early, and then hopefully start off hot on offense and somehow get a score, somehow get the lead early on. And I think it's important that they get a few turnovers again. I think this year's defense seems a little bit different. They seem a little bit more opportunistic. So hopefully they keep up with that trend. Because I definitely think they'll probably need a few turnovers, or at least to win the turnover battle in this game to have a shot to win. Do you want to bring up the PFF scores or?
Yeah. So this is Bengals defense versus Packers offense. I mean, the thing that jumps out is the Packers, I guess, don't have a very good offensive line either.
Yeah, not according to this PFF grades.
And then the other thing is that, I mean, looks like the defense, like the corners and the safeties, are playing okay this year.
Yeah,
which is a big upgrade over last year. So really, it looks like, tight end, running back, and quarterback is what carries the Packers, which is not ideal because I feel like the Bengals struggle to guard tight ends, and then the running quarterback is an issue. I assume
yeah.
he love runs. I don't
I'm
know.
more
Maybe
worried about Jacobs than I am of Kraft. I mean, obviously, Kraft is a pretty good tight end, but I just feel like if we get in a situation where they can control the clock with a good running game, that's not going to do well for the Bengals. But the one of the bright spots with the defense is that it feels like the run defense has been a little bit better this year, especially
yeah,
up
I
the
think
middle.
so.
So I mean, that might be a good matchup for them, especially looking at these grades for their offensive line. So, but still, like I feel like if they can't contain Jacobs, then it's just an easy out for the Packers, especially on their offense. But yeah, like you said, I think the Bengals historically has trouble with the tight ends. I'm not sure who they're gonna. I'm assuming it probably would be Hill that would have to cover the tight ends more often. Hill, or maybe one of the linebackers, maybe Knight. Or maybe they put Newton on the tight end, one of the other corners. But yeah, I mean, they got to continue what they did last week. I feel like last week they had pretty consistent pressures outside of Hendrickson. I think they had 4 total sacks. So I think if they can continue what they did last week.
I'm just looking to see who has the highest number on the offensive line. 57.4. Is that the best offensive lineman in this game?
I think they had one better than that.
Yeah, they had a 59.
Tom.
59 and a 57.6. So,
is that their backup guard?
I don't know. I don't know much about the Packers offensive line.
Which sucks because I don't think Stewart's going to play this week. I think he's listed as doubtful.
Yeah.
But,
so did Miles Murphy get a sack over who's the
Osai?
No, not Osai. Over who's the
Mr. Samir
right tackle
Naga
for the Lions?
Oh,
not gonna work here anymore.
Yeah, did he get it? Did Miles Murphy get a sack over Sewell?
I don't think so technically, because I think the way it happened was I think it was the guard that was technically on him, because he got the sack because Goff tried to run up in the line and then he shed the blocker. So I'm thinking that had to be the guard that he pushed off of to get that sack, because I think maybe they did a little bit of a stunt or something.
Yeah. Well, both Osai and Murphy got sacked that game.
Yeah, Osai, Murphy, and I think Hendrickson got 2 sacks.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I felt like overall, I mean, I think they still want their pressure rate to be a little bit higher. But, when you have 4 total sacks and with 3 different players, I think that's what the Bengals want to see more often.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think this agrees with you. The Packers have pretty good defense. And it looks like they match up well against the Bengals because they've got good corners.
Yeah, I think they were kind of like the Bengals defense, where they're pretty opportunistic. They can generate turnovers, and I think their pass rush is somewhat decent. I don't think it's necessarily going to be the best pass rush that we've played so far. So, not to say that they're bad, but I don't think they're necessarily going to be the best one that we faced.
They might. I don't know. Parsons and Gary. Those guys can both get after the quarterback.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like the Browns or even like the Lions, I feel like their defensive line, like as a whole, I mean, obviously Parsons, if you just single him out, he's pretty good. But I don't know. He's also only has 2.5 sacks so far this year. But then this is probably the game where he gets 3. As I
Yeah,
say
don't
that.
jinx it, man.
Yeah, I know. But yeah. No, I don't know. Like they have a solid defense. I think, like I said, from what I looked up, they seem to give up a lot of completions, but they don't give up a lot of points. So I think that's part of it. Well, I shouldn't say that because I think they're trending to where, they started off kind of hot on the defense, but then as the season progressed, they're starting to give up more and more points. Because I think they had a bye week last week, but before that, they tied the Cowboys. I think they gave up more than 30 points, and then I think the week before that they lost to the Browns. So, I think that's the main thing is just expose their defense because it seems like they can, or expose them in the way where just get the completions where you can get them, keep the chains moving, try to control the clock as much as you can. But yeah, really what it's going to come down to, I feel like they got to win the turnover battle and then just hopefully Flacco doesn't miss those plays that Browning was missing because I think that will go a long way. Because that's what's going to continue those drives when you actually hit the open player. as elementary as that sounds, it's like the Bengals on the offense just got to do the basic stuff first. But yeah. Oh, they're 5th. Is that PFF like power ranking or is that like?
Yeah, I'm sure it's their power ranking.
Okay. So according to PFF, they have the 12th overall defense, 5th overall offense. Okay, that's interesting. Who's their leading receiver?
Dobbs, maybe?
Guess I can look that up real quick. Let's see.
Receiver is not a strength for the Packers right now.
Yeah, I guess it would be their tight end technically would be their leading.
Yeah, I guess their number 1 pass catcher is Kraft, which, again, always worries me with the Bengals.
Yeah, because I feel like when I was looking at their stats, I was kind of like, So that kind of shocks me that PFF has them rated as 5th overall. See, Jacobs has 266 total yards so far. Yeah, it's Kraft. He's got 225 receiving yards, which leads the teams. And then the second receiver is 179, Dobbs. And then Golden has 126. And then Jacobs, he's got 119.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's where the Packers are going to hurt the Bengals is throwing it to Jacobs and throwing it to Kraft. All right, Prediction? You ready for prediction?
Yeah. Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
I'll go first. I'm just going to look at the over-under, where they say the over-under is 44.5. So they're saying it should be 45. Or is what they think the total is going to be is 45. And then they have Green Bay minus 12. So 45 minus 12 is 33. So I think like 17. So like 30 to 17. I like that. I like 31-17 Packers is what I think is going to happen.
Okay. Do you think there's going to be any improvements from last week at least?
I think it will look better.
Yeah, I think the game was closer than what the score showed last week. It wasn't. I mean, obviously the Lions handled business, and the Bengals waited way too long to start scoring. But I also feel like this game is going to be closer than, or I always felt this Green Bay game was going to be closer than the Lions game. I don't think Green Bay is as strong as what I think most people think, but I I could definitely see why people are giving them the edge. I don't know. I think the 14.5 point spread is seems kind of drastic, but whatever. I probably shouldn't predict this, but I'm going to go Bengals 30, Packers 27.
That's awesome.
I'm gonna have to go with them. I think if they have a little bit of a chance to win, I'm gonna go with it.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I guess last week it really came out a lot closer than I thought. I mean, 37-24. Those garbage points really help cosmetically.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I can see where it was garbage. Maybe 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter, but they had it down to 11 points with like 10 minutes to go, around that range. And I feel like there was a risk of Denver actually losing, or Detroit possibly giving up that game, because the momentum was starting to shift, but it was way too late.
Yeah, way too late.
Yeah, because the Detroit scored again, but then the Bengals scored again. But yeah, at that point, and then it almost looked like they were going to get that onside kick, so that was close. But yeah, I can see why most people are picking the Packers, but I still think it's going to be a closer game than what most people think. But hopefully, at the very least, it's competitive, and I want to see that improvement for the Bengals overall. So that's really what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I hope you're right. Be a lot better to be at 500.
Yeah, especially if somehow the Steelers can lose to the Browns, and if the Ravens lose against the Rams, which seems fairly likely, but it's the NFL. A lot can happen. And
yeah, this is the weird part of the season where, like I feel like once you get into October, games become hard to predict.
Yeah, because half the teams that start off slow tend to turn it around, and then the other half of the teams that start out strong start to hit a slump. So, because it's like between the Colts and Jaguars, I feel like one of those teams is not going to be in the playoffs, even though they're starting like really strong right now. But who knows? Maybe both of them will make it. You never know. But
yeah, I mean, usually the AFC North puts in a few teams, but with the AFC North kind of, doesn't really have. I mean, does anybody have a winning record at this point? Just the Steelers, right?
Yeah, just the Steelers at 3-1.
So,
I think.
I mean, it would make sense for the South to get multiple teams into the playoffs.
Well, that, and the Chiefs are 2-3 as well, and the Ravens are 1-4. The Bills are doing pretty good, but they took a loss more recently. Well, they lost against. Wait, who did the Bills lose to? Was it the Jets? No.
Bears?
I guess I can look that up.
I can just.
But I mean, the Bills. I mean, they're probably in the best position to get the 1 seed, but I feel like they lost to a team that they probably shouldn't have lost to. So it was just another
Patriots.
one of the signs. Oh, they lost to the Patriots. That's right. Yeah, it was just another one of the signs that this year it feels like the AFC is a little bit more open than when it was, in the past. Especially with the Chiefs not really dominating like they normally do, or I guess the main teams, which would be the Chiefs, Ravens, and Bills. It looks like it's just the Bills right now that are dominating, but they had that loss against the Patriots, which kind of, I'm sure
New England has a winning record.
Yeah, that New England game actually looks like it might be a tough game. It's going to be a very important game. The way it's going to, is that could be one of the wild card spots right there.
Yeah, I mean the way it's shaping up, if the Bengals want to get a wild card spot, they'll have to get it over the Patriots.
Yeah, because I think Denver lost again, right? Let's see, Denver. So I want to say Denver's 2-3. No, never mind. They're 3-2.
They're 3-2.
Oh, they just beat the Eagles. Or I guess that was their most recent game.
What? They just beat the Eagles?
Yeah, it's weird because I think the Eagles
Oh, the
lost.
Giants just beat the Eagles.
Yeah, but that was Thursday night. This Eagles
yeah,
game
yeah.
was technically last week.
Yeah, they beat the Eagles. Huh.
Yeah. It's just this year's weird. There's no like real, clear dominant team. It seems like some of these teams that should be the dominant ones are losing to teams they shouldn't be losing to. So it just makes that Flacco trade make more sense because it's just like especially with Burrow, if you can get into the playoffs and he's like relatively healthy, like that's all they need to be. It's like if they can make the playoffs, especially with the way the NFL is going right now, it's like they'll have a chance to make a run.
Mm-hmm.
But they just got to be in a position to be able to do that. So hopefully they get started this week against the Packers. Fingers crossed. All right. Well, I guess, was there anything you wanted to add to this?
No, just fingers crossed. Whoop,
All right. Fingers
there it is.
crossed. All right. Peace.